And Keir Starmer just released the jihadi who was imprisoned for coming to behead me. She just got let out without serving her sentence. The same woman who went and got a hunting knife, practiced stabbing a kind of shop dummy ready for the attack, and then tasked her husband and her to come down to take my head. She's been released early, whilst other people are locked up for a Facebook post.
We are back with Katie Hopkins today. And as you know, if you've been watching my channel, and if you've subscribed, which I hope you have, I'm a big fan of Katie Hopkins. Definitely a big fan. I have immense respect for her. I agree pretty much across the board with her positions. She, of course, can be a provocateur. Provocatrice, perhaps is the word. She's well known for that, but that's why we have heard of her. She gets her message out. Now, this is from her channel, and she's talking about what you'll find out soon is maybe some good news. Some good news because Elon Musk has come out and supported Tommy Robinson. And of course, when Elon Musk supports anybody, that's a pretty powerful message to send. A lot of people see that message. So let's get into it, see what Katie Hopkins has to say.
There is brilliant news right now, which is Elon Musk speaking up on behalf of Tommy Robinson, calling him a political prisoner, which is what he is, and demanding his release. And I just wanted to say one thing, if I may, whilst this is happening and whilst there's a lot of noise around Tommy and whilst there'll be loads of people sharing pictures of themselves with Tommy all of a sudden, that's great actually, because the more eyes that are on Tommy, the safer he is. But there was just a couple things, but one in particular. The brilliant MP Rupert Lowe said, "How could this happen in my country relating to grooming gangs?" And I just wanted to caution against that kind of wording. My country, how could my country let this happen? Because my country, our country, didn't let this happen. Individual silence did. And it's a common technique used by people to avoid blame, avoid accountability. So let's take another example.
For those of you who don't know what she's talking about, obviously if you're in the UK, you certainly will. But for those outside the UK, she's talking about the grooming gang scandals, specifically the one in Rotherham in the north of the UK, I believe north of England. You can look it up. It's outrageous for a period of years. I mean, it was like 20 years ago this happened, at least. Groups of Pakistani men, then there's loads of them in the UK, basically groomed, that's the euphemism they're using, basically passed around young English white girls for sexual purposes, quite simply. And the police just turned a blind eye. The police absolutely knew what was going on. Some of the guys had criminal convictions, and so were like sex crime convictions, I believe. And, shouldn't even have had any contact with children at all. But the police turned a blind eye because they did not want to stoke the flames of racism. So they didn't prosecute these men for their crimes because of their ethnic background. And yes, make of that what you will. But Tommy Robinson was talking about it many years ago. I first heard about this, maybe 10 years ago, something like that. Tommy Robinson's been talking about it. And once you start looking into it, it's absolutely revolting. First of all, what happened, and secondly, the cover-up and the excuses made for it by the establishment in the UK. Absolutely revolting.
A truck rammed a Christmas market. A truck. And the idea is, the truck did it. Well, no, the truck didn't do it. Just as a gun in America used in a school shooting, the gun didn't do it. The noun, the innocuous thing, didn't do the thing, So my country didn't cover up grooming gangs. Individuals did, and the powerful made sure that no one would be able to speak out. In the UK particularly, the best way that was achieved was by calling out people who did speak, Tommy or myself, whomever, and then utterly punishing them. People look at Iran or Iraq and people being hung from cranes. That's the same thing that was happening to any of us that did open our mouths, that do open our mouths. And Tommy now serves time inside again for that. And Keir Starmer just released the jihadi who was imprisoned for coming to behead me. She just got let out without serving her sentence. The same woman who went and got a hunting knife, practiced stabbing a kind of shop dummy ready for the attack, and then tasked her husband and her to come down to take my head. She's been released early whilst other people are locked up for a Facebook post. That's not the point. The point is, this is a great moment for lots and lots of different people to help in lots of different ways. So one of them is that the more eyeballs that are on Tommy, the safer he is. Elon has just done a great thing in saving Tommy because all eyeballs are on him, and this is incredibly awkward for Keir Starmer. Keep your eyes on him. Now is not the time to look back and have a go at people who didn't speak out, have a go at people who held their silence, have a go at people who criticised Tommy. It's not about that. It doesn't matter. That stuff's in the past. And honestly, if you're an ordinary person, you can't afford to lose your job, your house, your marriage, to have your kids maybe taken from you. You know, that's not something I would advocate for anyone. But what you do have an ability to do now is to realise things are changing. The winds of change are amongst us. Don't have to caveat what you say. You don't have to say, I'm no fan of Tommy, but. You can just say the thing you wanted to say. I'm no fan of Katy, but. You don't have to sort of slightly have a life preserve on whilst you say a thing.
Very good point she's making there. We all have a tendency to do that, even me. And God, amongst people I know, I'm very outspoken on this stuff. On the other hand, and if you do agree with somebody, like with Katie Hopkins, just say it. Just say it outright, you know? Yeah, I'm a big fan. What of it? You know? I'm a big fan of Tommy Robinson. What of it? Now, I mean, in his particular case, obviously, if you do have some issues on specific thing, or if you have a problem or disagree on specific issues, obviously, that's normal. But yeah, you should not be apologetic for sticking up for your people, your culture, your ethnic group, and all that. And you shouldn't be apologetic for saying, for example, that European countries should remain European, like 99% European, or maybe 95%. Okay, that's a perfectly reasonable thing to say. And it's perfectly reasonable to point out which groups tend to be committing lots of crimes.
It is your right to speak your mind. And if you're being attacked by people, well, maybe it's time that you weren't around the people that are attacking you. And the other thing we can do now with this moment of opportunity is really hold the line together. The past is gone, it doesn't matter. What people did in the past doesn't matter. Now, if you think something, even if you just think it in your heart, you don't have to say it. Just know it and know that you're not alone. And know that suddenly we're picking up very serious and influential people who can help us have our voices heard. Just have confidence from that. Maybe you can turn up to the next thing or the next rally or whatever, because suddenly, you know, it's like a little can opener opening a tin. Suddenly, other people are seeing, and the more that there's backing from Elon, or the more that other people feel that they can speak out, the more that you're able to hold your opinion without being scared of it, or even show your face. And that's really a great thing. And I always take as an example the NHS 100,000, who you will never hear me do anything but sing the praises of. The NHS 100,000, who were within moments of being fired from jobs they loved in the NHS because they wouldn't take the jibby jab, and they held the line together. And because they held the line, the government had to do a U-turn and say, no, we can't afford to lose you. Sometimes you don't have to speak out, speak up. You don't have to post something on Twitter. You don't have to say something on Facebook. You don't have to throw yourself at the mercy of the corrupt law. You can just hold the line, know what you believe in your heart, and then when you're ready, show up. Because by showing up every day, by being certain about what you think, by being less afraid every day, you join a big old army of us who've been out here fighting for a very long time and are now thrilled that so many others will be given the opportunity to even, breathe air and think, oh, it's coming. Because 2025 is going to be our year. I've felt the change coming now for about 4 years, which means by now it's really starting to show itself. 2025 is going to be glorious.
I agree. I feel something in the air too. Of course, who knows what's going to happen. But I think the more important thing here is what Katie is doing. She is, dropping a white pill, as they say. There is a lot of despair in amongst those of us who, maybe aren't dissidents, but those of us who see through the nonsense of the prevailing clown world narrative. The lies. We can, who you're going to believe. These conspiracy theorists are what you see with your lying eyes. The stories, the lies peddled by the mainstream media, the lies peddled by the establishment are increasingly obvious to more and more people, and that is a white pill. These things take time. These things take time. Not everybody wakes up at the same time or at the same rate. All of us are on a journey, and these white pills are very important. These rays of hope, these rays of, these pieces of good news. And yes, Elon Musk has, in the past, since Christmas, or for about a week between Christmas and New Year, said a lot of things on Twitter which I very much disagreed with, but that doesn't mean I'm going to slam him on everything. We all make mistakes. Now, whether, we won't get into the issues that everyone's attacking him about, but the fact is, he did boost the message about Tommy Robinson. He tweeted "Free Tommy Robinson," I believe, just today, the day I'm recording this, 2nd of January, 2025. So this is important. These white pills are important, and yes, we should, infighting, over important things. Yeah, that has to be done. But it's important to be white pilled, be hopeful, never give up hope. Do not let people make you lose hope. That is a sin to bring people down, to try to destroy hope. That's absolutely a sin. There is always hope. And, of course, there's work to be done. So, a bit of good news in the new year. Let me know what you think about this message from Katie Hopkins. And, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next video.